Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Today we are going to start our GS2. GS1 we have covered. To some extent, I could see the impact of, practicing for 3 weeks in your tests. Many of you did complete the paper. Many of you were able to put a lot of presentation stuff in that, diagrams, infographics. Some of you also maintained topics like neatness in your answers. It was very well organized, and it showed that, at least it showed that all of you are putting great effort in it to make your copy look very mature. The inclusion of examples was very appreciable in all of the copies that I saw. So, congratulations to all of you who have completed the first test, first 1 month, and have written the test to test yourself also. You have tested yourself also, and it has, even if you don't realize, it has ingrained in you that certain level of, you know, courage that you can write an exam if required. Immediately, also, you are ready to write an exam. All right. On that, we'll start our GS2. We'll start with polity. I hope everybody has seen the schedule for the month. It's there in the, I've posted it in the group, the Connect group, right? So for the first few days, we are going to do polity. I'm going to start from basic polity because I believe that when UPSC goes basic, it becomes tougher. So we have to prepare ourselves for the toughest part of it. Uh, about the preparation, about note making, I will take a separate session, uh, probably on a weekend, because it will take time and I would want to clear all of your doubts. All right. So, whatever we know, use your pre knowledge. The questions that I'm going to give you are going to be uh, related to your pre knowledge. So, try to incorporate your pre knowledge. Along with that, do some analysis and some brainstorming that you can. But you have to solve the questions again first in time. Along with that, I will keep giving directives what all you can learn from each question. Right? Can we start?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, actually, I have enrolled for the GS2 only. So I have not been added to any group or such. So I don't have any information regarding it.
I'll post the link of the group.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
All of you are not there in the group can join it for any updates, for giving schedules, for telling what all classes are there at what time. All right. Chalo, we'll start writing our first answer. What do you understand by rule of law? Explain how this idea gets reflected in Constitution of India. So we generally will skip uh, the names of the people, the advocates' name who are given references in Lakshmikant. I would recommend, for example, A.V. Dicey is the British jurist that gave the definition of rule of law, and it has been well known in our Lakshmikant also, and like rule of law is related to him. So I would recommend that you do write that rule of law was given by this person, or this person defined rule of law as. This becomes a very good simple heading, introduction, and it gives an impact to, again, the evaluators who are from humanities background and do appreciate references, right? So I have given you the introduction. How will you write about rule of law? How will you start? Explain what you understand by rule of law, and then go about telling how it is reflected in the Constitution. All right. I know you. It might feel like a tough question, but try to write as much as possible. Try to complete the paper question in time, and try to fill both the sheets that will be required for 10 mark. All right, start writing. Very good. Some of you have completed. How many of you have completed the answer? Good. How many of you are writing the answer? Like have a pen and paper in front of you and are brainstorming, if not completely writing it. Good. If a single line or a conclusion is left, I would recommend that you go ahead and complete it in 4 5 or maybe 20 seconds more, because when you are doing a full test, it gets compensated in the next question. Or say if one question comes that you don't know much about, you can relocate some time from there to the time that has been overshot in one question. So if it is like conclusion is left and it will take another 15-20 seconds, go ahead and complete the answer. All right. So tell me, how did you introduce rule of law? What do you understand by rule of law? What did you write in this part? Okay. Supremacy of law, equal before law, functioning of state as per law of land, correct? Absence of privileges, concept originated by in England by A.V. Dicey, absence of arbitrary power, right? So it has three pillars. You guys have mentioned it, but like there are three pillars to it. In Lakshmikant, it has been written that there are three pillars about rule of law, and you have to mention about those three. Then where all this idea of rule of law is reflected in the constitution?
Article 14, ma'am.
Article 14, Article 21. Okay. Judicial review, correct.
Ma'am,
Article
could we have done it like first in preamble, then DPSP, then fundamental right?
Yes, yes. Preamble also tells about equality, justice.
Justice.
Yes. Fundamental rights. Article 32, correct. Because independence of judiciary shows that law and having judicial review. Article 142 is also a reflection that law stands the highest. Secularism would not come here because secularism is something else, Mayank. Right. So all of you have got an idea. Let's see how it looks on a sheet of paper and how can you represent it.
Ma'am, can we write the Supreme Court cases like Yashwananda Bharati? Like through these cases, the like court maintained that the law of the land is the supreme. Like or
Yes,
like
yes. It comes in the basic structure.
yes,
In basic structure, you have to mention basic structure.
yes.
For all, I would please recommend to put your comments in the chat box. I will surely read it out. If it comes out to be a unique or a different point and it is relevant, even if it is not relevant, I will call out the name and tell that this is not the correct point to be written here. Right? Okay. So, what do you understand by rule of law? According to A.V. Dicey, a British jurist, rule of law means absolute supremacy of law rather than the presence of arbitrary power or discretion at hand of executive. So there are three principles to it: absence of arbitrary power or supremacy of law. Example becomes very important because everybody knows this. This is going to be, you have to put some things to explain what you are writing. No man can be punished except the breach of law. Equality before law, irrespective of caste, class, religion, or position. Primacy of rights of individuals, which are enforceable by court. Right? Then, how does our constitution reflect it? Article 14. Supreme Court held rule of law as a basic structure in election case 1972. That is also called Indira Gandhi case. That nobody, whatsoever stature he or she is having, they can be tried only by one single court. There cannot be a special court for them. right? Preamble embodies words justice and equality representing fairness. Independence of judiciary and judicial review to check the powers of executive. Article 32, enforcement of fundamental rights via writs of Supreme Court. For example, like we can mention some prohibition, habeas corpus, etc. Supremacy of the Constitution, from which legislative and executive derive their power. Rule of law is essential for democracy. However, rationalization and review of laws that have become archaic has been highlighted by Law Commission to ensure smooth functioning of bodies of administration of the country. Right? Yes. You can write about Royappa versus State of Tamil Nadu. Article 14 embodies a guarantee against arbitrariness. Preamble DPSP, correct. Yes. Can be written in idea of constitutionalism. Yes, constitutionalism can be written, but then again, you have to explain a technical word when you are writing it. So if you can explain it, if you are putting one single point for constitutionalism to tell that it limits constitution, limits the power, like for example, instead of supremacy of constitution, you could have written constitutionalism, which limits the power of all the organs of the administration through constitution. Separation of power is not required here. It's not required. Like everything is a law, and all the things are governed by law only. But if you see, we have talked about 3 pillars of rule of law. So we will try to tell our points related to these. There can be, you can say that the vote, there is a definitive rule that who can vote and who cannot vote. Everything you can tell, but somehow some of it gets covered in Article 32, that Supreme Court protects the rights. Some can be equality before law, that for example about Indira Gandhi case, and arbitrary power is not present, that can be shown by judicial review, right? Absence of privilege, yes, that can be added. Yes, it's a basic structure, and rule of law is a basic structure, and that we have mentioned. Yes, exceptions can be mentioned, that immunity to president and governor in criminal cases, etc. But again, if it had been a 15 marker, we would have definitely written. It already asked 2 parts of the question. So if you feel that you don't have enough points to tell in like how constitution is representing rule of law, you can add some exceptions, but that can be only one liner, right? Explaining the conclusion, like rule of law is derived from laws, right? But there are so many laws nowadays, like 108 labor laws were there. So following that law, if it becomes difficult, then rule of law cannot stand. Hence, rationalization and review is required, right? We'll write next question. Chalo, we'll move forward. I'll set a timer of 10 minutes for a 15 marker. Again, a very abstract question, but do write whatever you know, whatever you can explain it with, howsoever you can divide the question in. We'll discuss the structure first, and then you can write the question. In conclusion, can we write constant review of existing law? Yes, you can. Yes, World Bank's report also can be written about health, education, and economic growth, how rule of law brings that. There are also books. So, for example, there is a book called Why Nations Fail. You can mention that book's name also and tell that how important is the rule of law for the functioning of institutions, which actually determine the success or failure of a country. by there's a book called Why Nations Fail, that say that inclusive nations lead to a developed and successful country. However, inclusive institutions lead to successful countries, and non-inclusive or exclusive institutions which are governed by non-democratic uh, pillars or elements, they lead to a failure of a country. Right? That also you can mention. All right. Let's move on to the next question. The moral value of fundamental duties would not be to smother rights, but establish a democratic balance by making people conscious of their duties equally as they are conscious about their rights. Discuss. An abstract question, but you have to give importance to each and every part of the question. When we are talking about fundamental duties, it is being talked negatively about in the question, that it would not smother the rights. So you have to tell where that thought process comes from, that why people are talking about that fundamental duties smother the rights. And after that, you tell that how fundamental duties actually complement fundamental rights. In this, there are a lot of cases also. In this, you can, yes, mention constitutional articles. You can take references and examples from fundamental duties itself and compare it with fundamental rights. Right? Understood? Do you have a structure in your mind how you're going to write it by now? We will tell about why this negative thing is being talked about. Then we will tell that how it is not true, and how we will go ahead and how these fundamental duties actually complement fundamental rights and do not smother them. Again, summarizing it, first we will give importance to why this argument is coming, that fundamental duties smother the rights. Then we will tell about that is not true, and how actually fundamental duties complement the fundamental rights. And we can mention one or two references what will some great leaders have said about fundamental rights or fundamental duties, or both of them. Or there can be some court cases which can say that it can be balanced, or you can just mention it as a conclusion that both of them balance each other. You can write John F. Kennedy's Think What You Can Do for the Country. Just be a little creative, try to spark some thoughts in your brain that what all can be related to it. Getting my point? Will you be able to write? All right, I'm starting the timer. Try to fill 3 pages, and doesn't matter you want to write in points, you want to write in paragraphs, your content should address this question. That's my only motive today. All right, start writing. All right, the time is up. How many of you have completed it? Okay. 2 pages. Okay. We'll see how to extend, like how to use more introduction, conclusion to be able to fill up the pages. All right. How many of you are writing? So it seemed to be a challenge to complete this paper, to complete this answer. Chalo, let's discuss. Let's see how it could be written in a paper. Like, how would it look in an answer sheet? Whatever we have discussed. So first we'll talk about why it was negatively talked about. Then we'll talk about how it actually balances it. It does not only small, it does not smother, it has its own significance in improving the importance of fundamental rights. And then we will give a conclusion, right? Fundamental duties, Article 51A, were added in Indian Constitution by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1976 on the recommendation of Swaran Singh Committee and took inspiration from Constitution of erstwhile USSR. Is this your pre-knowledge or not? Could you have written a introduction with your like this for your with your pre-knowledge? This adds first content, second it covers up some space for you. It does, right? So try to push in some pre-knowledge that you have. You try to push it in to show off to the examiner that yes, you know. How else would he know that you actually know about that it has been taken from USSR, and so after Swaran Singh Committee it came in 42nd Amendment Act. This is how you will show in introduction or in points. You have to push in those elements. So fundamental duties have received criticisms for reducing significance of fundamental rights or for being non-comprehensive and superfluous. C.K. Daptri, former AG, Attorney General, said 99.9% of citizens are law-abiding and have no need to highlight their duties. Where is this given? This is given in references of Lakshmikant. So references of Lakshmikant also become very important from the perspective of mains. We'll have a detailed session about it, that where all to pick your value added content from Lakshmikant, how to do it and how much time it is going to take. But for now, again, I'm telling you that Lakshmikant is one of can be the best source for picking out actually elevating your mains content. You have read Lakshmikant from a pre perspective, just go through any one chapter of it from a mains perspective. You will realize why it is so important. All right. Then next, however, fundamental duties establish a democratic balance and has its significance. Why right without duties will lead to anarchy, and as stated by Supreme Court in Javed versus State of Haryana case. Reminder to the citizens that their duties towards the society and fellow citizens serve as a warning to antisocial elements. Example, dignity of women takes a higher place than freedom of speech. Correct? Complements fundamental rights. Article 21A and Article 51AK both tell about education of children from 6 to 14 years. Citizen participation in governance. Article 21, right to clean environment. Article 51AG, protect and improve nature. Check reasonableness of rights as stated by Supreme Court in 1992 in relation of Article 14. Example, right of minorities, like for promotion of right of minorities, Article 51AE about brotherhood and harmony comes in, right? Promotion of equity by positive discrimination, example, reservation. It acts as a code of conduct along with it acts as code of ethics along with code of conduct by highlighting the moral duties. Example, to develop humanism, scientific temper, etc. Fairly represents why it is complementing fundamental duties, and all of them have been derived from fundamental duties itself, and they very well tell how they complement fundamental rights. Correct? Though the fundamental duties are not enforceable in nature, they act as beacon lights for the citizens to accept their responsibility and have active role in governance to ensure democratic functioning of state. According to Mahatma Gandhi, the very performance of duty secures us our right. Hence, fundamental duties and fundamental rights complement each other and cannot be divorced. Right? Or you could have written, John F. Kennedy said, ask what you can do for the country, then what your country can do for you. That also is acceptable, is a very good conclusion, is a very good introduction. Right? Do you do your duty for the sake of duty? Nishkam karma. Is that right intro? It could be a very good intro, Chaitanya, in an essay, but I wouldn't recommend, because we already have some factual content to show, and it might take your direction of your answer in some other direction. It is a possibility. Nishkam karma and relation between fundamental duties and fundamental rights. These two are different things. It shouldn't, like, the introduction is a place where the examiner knows that you know the question or you don't know the question. So always be very relevant to the demand of the question in introduction. J.S. Mill harm principle means restricting liberty through duties. You can write it into Karthik. This is a very good point to be written in this here in the starting, why this debate comes out. Yes, we can use, since multiple times we are using fundamental duties, FD is fine. Can we write in context of filing of petition in Supreme Court to make fundamental duties unforeseeable in introduction? Yes, you can. That recently there has been, but again, the question is starts with a negative tone. So you can maybe talk about it later on, that there has been talks about, like, the importance of fundamental duties is being realized by people, and there have been petitions for making it enforceable also. Got it, Komal? Ma'am, while writing, all the points in articles don't come in mind, or it takes a lot of time for that. All of this content I have read but can't reproduce. It comes with practice and comes with revision. Uh, uh, what we will do is we will discuss about how to use Lakshmikant as from mains perspective. The first exercise that you guys can do immediately, like today, or it will take 1 or 2 hours only. Take the articles of the constitution, take constitution, and mark out, just write the number that you want to remember, that you think you might need in the future. For example, article 105, privileges of the constitution, that you know that such kind of questions keep coming, either in the mock test or in the final paper, or you can use them in one or the other points. So mark out all the, it is just a 2 hour exercise. It might look very big, but it is just a 2 hour exercise. And at first, your motive is not to remember any of the constitution, just writing them down, just making your notes out of the constitution, and writing down the article numbers that are important. Just do that. It will take 2 hours. Sit and do it today. You will see significant improvement in your answers in mentioning this articles in your answer, like, immediately. And keep it open when next time you are writing your answer. Right? It's okay. Is it okay to write open Lakshmikant? Yes, it is okay to open Lakshmikant, but just see that it should not be like you are writing one question for half an hour. That should not happen. If you want to refer something, let the answer get completed and then maybe refer to it. It will be helpful. All right, guys, we'll close the session for today. All right. See you then. Have a productive day.
Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.